Okay, welcome delegates and guests into our Zoom uncommitted delegate roll call, and welcome press. Thank you all for being on tonight. And I would now like to pass it off to one of our Minnesota uncommitted delegates, Samuel Doughton, who will take us into the importance of the uncommitted delegate roll call.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Samuel Doughton and I'm one of the co-chairs of Minnesota's Uncommitted Delegation. We are the largest uncommitted delegation of any state this year to the Democratic National Convention. Among the many important tasks that we conduct as delegates at this national convention, it includes the voting for our party's nominee for president. This has become all the more important since President Biden has withdrawn his candidacy for the nomination, and the importance of the votes of delegates become that much more important. Our gathering here this evening is for us as uncommitted delegates across the country to cast our votes for presidential nomination. We will be proceeding through a list of delegates from across the country. And I want to remind everyone watching some of the relevant rules that come into the Democratic National Convention and the rules it operates under. First off, under the rules of the party, as uncommitted delegates, we are pledged to represent the intentions of the people who elected us to these positions. This includes the 738,000 primary voters who voted for uncommitted, uninstructed, or something similar across the country earlier this year, and also to represent the delegates who elected us and the other ways in which delegates across the country were elected to serve at the Democratic National Convention. Under the rules of the Democratic National Convention, it states that regarding how the presidential nomination ballot is taken, it states that eligible delegates may vote for the candidate of their choice, whether or not the name of such candidate was placed in nomination. Any vote cast other than a vote for a presidential candidate meeting the requirements of a previous section that required a collection of signatures, any other vote shall be considered a vote for president. Here today, we will be casting our votes for individuals. They will be recorded as present, but there is more to it than just us being present and not voting for President Harris. So at this point, I would like to hand things off to our folks with If Not Now in the state of Washington.
Our folks with If Not Now unfortunately cannot join us, so we will be going forward with our chair, Dan Thomas Cummins.
All right, I'll pass it off to Chair Dan Thomas Cummins.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, everyone. As was said, my name is Dan Thomas Cummins. I am a member of the Minnesota delegation by virtue of their election of me to the National Convention Rules Committee. So in that capacity, I served on the Rules Committee process and helped develop the rules that we will be operating under for the National Convention and that we are currently operating under for conducting the vote of delegates. As Samuel explained, the way that we're doing this today is conducting this as a formal roll call, so I will officially call this meeting to order, and the delegation is now called to order. We will have our one item of business today, which is to conduct the votes and call the votes of each of our delegation's members to the National Convention. We will call them in alphabetical order by state and then alphabetical order by delegate. We have a list here and we'll proceed in order. I believe that was what we needed to cover. We'll start with the state of Hawaii. The state of Hawaii has, I believe, 6 folks present to cast votes. We'll start with Eric Schrager. Eric Schrager.
My name is Eric Schrager, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's 1st Congressional District. Today, I cast my vote for Samud Faik Abu Al-Kumsan. Samud's last words were, quote, "I am strong, but I'm not the same anymore. All the plans I've made have vanished, and everything I once beautifully envisioned in my mind has turned to ashes." Samud was murdered in an Israeli airstrike on her home on October 22nd, 2023.
Thank you. Eric Schrager has cast 1 vote under the rules of the convention present. Fatima Abed. You have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Fatima Ghassan Abed, and I am an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Mohammed Gamal al-Haddad, who was murdered by Israel on November 17th, 2023. He was only 30 years old. On November 17th, he shaved his head bald and asked us, "Why am I doing this?" I replied, "To meet Allah in a pure state." After Friday prayer, an Israeli missile made his body fly distances away from the place that he was targeted. Thank you.
Thank you. Fatima Abed has cast a vote for present. Inga Gibson.
Aloha, my name is Inga Gibson. I am an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's 1st Congressional District. Today I cast my vote for Ruba Nassar Yawas. Ruba was a software engineer and a talented designer who had just graduated from the now destroyed Gaza College of Engineering and Technology. She was killed in an Israeli airstrike on November 16, 2023 in her home. She was 22 years old. Thank you.
Thank you. Inga Gibson, present. Jonathan Simons, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Jonathan Simons. I'm an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Nasreen Nasser Durada. Nasreen was preparing to defend her master's thesis in mental health and getting ready for her wedding ceremony. She was 29, the age that I am now. She was killed in an Israeli airstrike.
Thank you. Jonathan Simons, present. Rory Strawn Mock, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Rory Strawn Mock. I'm an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's at-large congressional district. I cast my ballot today for Nagam Rafat Abushab. She was 3.5 years old, an aspiring traveler who had already at that age memorized every country, its capital, and its flag. She was killed in an Israeli airstrike while having morning tea with her family on October 13th, 2023.
Thank you. Rory Strawn Mock, present. Shay Chan Hodges, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
Aloha, my name is Shay Chan Hodges, and I am an uncommitted delegate from Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District. I cast my vote today for Yasmin Sharaf, who was killed by the Israeli army on November 12th, 2023. She was 6 years old, and she was a student at the Champion Sports Academy in Gaza and was killed in an airstrike in her home. Mahalo.
Thank you. Shay Chan Hodges, present. This concludes the state of Hawaii's roll call. State of Kentucky, 1 delegate present. That will be Violet Olds. You have 1 ballot, 1 vote. How do you cast it?
Hey y'all, my name is Violet Olds and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Kentucky's 2nd District. I cast my ballot today for Mohammed Bahar, who was 24 years old and was killed by the Israeli army on July 3rd of 2024. Mohammed, like myself and my darling, my darling 12-year-old son is autistic. He also had Down syndrome. And he was mauled to death by an Israeli military dog. His last words to the dog were, "Let go, Habibi," which means my beloved or my love. The incident occurred during a raid on a family's house by the Israeli army.
Thank you. Violet Olds, present. This concludes the roll call for the state of Kentucky. State of Michigan, 2 present.
Massachusetts. Oh, sorry.
Abbas Alawi.
My name is Abbas Alawi. I'm an uncommitted delegate from Michigan's 12th Congressional District. I cast my ballot today in honor of Hala Mufid Abu Saadi, who was 14 years old when she was killed on October 16th, 2023, in an Israeli airstrike that destroyed her family home, taking the lives of her mother, brother, and 5 sisters as well. That day, the Israeli military killed 87 children in Gaza.
Abbas Alawi, present. Rima Mohammed. You have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Rima Mohammed, and I am an uncommitted delegate from Michigan Congressional District 6. I cast my ballot today for Hind Rajab, who was killed by the Israeli army on January 29th of this year. Hind was a child, only 6 years old as my own child, promised safe passage with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society. Her car was shot 335 times. The ambulance she called was hit by a tank using American missiles. Her body was found decomposing 12 days after she was supposed to have found safe passage.
Thank you. Rima Mohammed, present. This concludes the roll call for the state of Michigan. State of Minnesota. We have some delegates present in our meeting here from the state of Minnesota, and they will cast their votes in person. I will first call upon Adrita Rahman.
My name is Adrita Rahman, and I am an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. Today, I cast my ballot in honor of Dr. Rifat Al-Arir, who was killed on December 6, 2023, at the age of 44. He was a poet, he was a professor, and his poem, If I Die, which he wrote just a few days before he was murdered, it was translated into over 40 languages after his death. He was murdered in an Israeli airstrike alongside his siblings and 4 of his nieces and nephews.
Thank you. Adrita Rahman, present. Ariana Feldman.
My name is Ariana Feldman, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Reem Mahmoud Abu Daya, who was killed by the Israeli army on January 7th, 2024. She was 25 years old. Before she was murdered in an Israeli airstrike, Reem wrote, "If I am killed, write about me and tell the world about my dreams."
Ariana Feldman, present. Asma Mohammed.
My name is Asma Mohammed, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota. I cast my ballot today for Reem Ali Badwan, who was a 3-year-old killed in an airstrike. Reem became known as Gaza's little girl, and after she died, her grandfather held her in his arms and called her the soul of my soul, as you see here on my shirt. Thank you.
Asma Mohammed, present. Brian Swancutt, you have one vote. How do you cast it?
Yeah, my name is Brian Swancutt, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota's 4th Congressional District, and I also serve as the chair of Stonewall DFL, the LGBTQ caucus of the state party. I cast my vote for Eunice, excuse me, I'm sorry, who was killed by the Israeli army on October 14th, 2023. His age is unknown. I apologize. I'm a crier. Eunice was a queer Palestinian who was murdered in an airstrike on the Jabalia refugee camp. He was survived by a man who loved him. Who said a part of him died when Eunice died. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Swancutt, present. Dan Engelhardt, you have one vote. How do you cast it?
Dan Engelhardt, uncommitted delegate out of Minnesota's CD5. I cast my ballot today for Ismail Al Ghul, who was killed last week, July 31st, by a targeted airstrike, along with his cameraman. He is a journalist for Al Jazeera and beloved in his community, and one of 165 journalists that Israel has killed. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Engelhardt, present. Councilmember Jeremiah Ellison.
Thank you. My name is Jeremiah Ellison, and I am a uncommitted delegate for Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. I cast my ballot for Khalid and Salah Hassan Jadallah, twin brothers, 27, who were best friends, who enjoyed their family and lifting weights together, and who were killed in an ambush outside their home on October 11th, 2023.
Thank you. Jeremiah Ellison, present. Miriam Mameri.
Hello, my name is Miriam Mameri. I'm an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota Congressional District 5. I'm casting my ballot today for Subhi Al-Ajil, who was the cousin of my brother-in-law's father. He was the one that would always take care of them when they visited Gaza and would drive them around to see the beautiful beaches of Gaza. He was the head of the Engineering and Building Division of the Ministry of Health. Subhi and his wife, children, and 10 and 12-year-old grandchildren were all killed in an Israeli airstrike on November 9th, 2023, that targeted his vehicle as he was trying to drive his family to safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Mameri, present. Samuel Doughton.
Samuel Doughton, I live in Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, uncommitted delegate. I cast my vote today for Safedin Issam Ayad Abu Daha, age 25, killed on April 4th of this year. Safedin worked for the World Central Kitchen because he was dedicated to providing humanitarian aid to the displaced. He was killed alongside 6 of his co-workers in a targeted airstrike on a World Central Kitchen van, despite being promised safe passage by the IDF.
Thank you. Samuel Doughton, present. Shay Freeberg, you have one vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Shay Freeberg, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota's 5th Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Lana and Mohammed Hassan Radwan, who were killed by the Israeli army on October 17th, 2023. 2 days before their death, Lana sent a video to her sister saying she didn't want to die. They were murdered by an Israeli airstrike, and they were just 6 and 11 years old.
Thank you. Shay Freeberg, present. This concludes the vote. Hassan Safari will be delivered by Adrita Rahman.
Hello, this is Adrita Rahman again. I'm going to read Hassan Safari's vote since he was unable to be here. Hassan Safari is an uncommitted delegate from Minnesota's 4th congressional district, and he would cast his ballot today for Sidra Hasuna. She was killed on February 12th, 2024 at the age of 7. Sidra Hasuna, her twin sister, 15-month-old brother, parents, grandparents, and uncle were all killed after the IDF bombed the building they had been sheltering in Rafah, along with 75 others.
Thank you. Hassan Safari, present. This concludes the roll call votes for the state of Minnesota. State of Missouri, we'll start with Aram Mahmoud. Yeah, 1 vote. How will this be cast?
Hi, my name is Aram Mahmoud, and I am an uncommitted delegate from the state of Missouri, and I cast my vote today for and in honor of Dr. Nahum Abu Shawish, who was in her last year of dentistry school and was killed by an Israeli airstrike on November 24th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Aram Mahmoud, present. Michael Berg, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Michael Berg, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Missouri's 1st congressional district. I cast my ballot today for Jihad Khalid Abu Amr, who was killed by the Israeli army on October 23rd, 2023. Jihad was a 2-year-old baby killed by an Israeli airstrike on the Sali Towers in the Nusrat refugee camp in the middle of the Gaza Strip. His body was retrieved from under the rubble.
Thank you. Michael Berg, present. Rachel Prudy, and this will be presented by alternate Keith Rose.
Hello, my name is Keith Rose, and I'm an alternate delegate from Missouri's 1st congressional district. I cast my ballot today for Meeth al-Nakib, age 18 months, who was killed by the Israeli army on December 2nd, 2023. At just 18 months, Meeth could already count 1 to 10 in Arabic and in English. She was murdered alongside her pregnant mother in an Israeli airstrike.
Thank you. Rachel Prudy by Keith Rose. This concludes the roll call votes of the state of Missouri. State of New Jersey. Ahmad Awad, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Ahmed Awad, and I'm an uncommitted delegate representing New Jersey's 18th delegate district. I cast my ballot today for Abdurrahman Manhal. Abdurrahman was a child full of joy and playfulness who lived a life of fun and adventure. Abdurrahman was murdered by the Israeli army on November 5th, 2023, after sustaining extensive burns to his body from an Israeli airstrike. He was only 14 years old.
Thank you. Ahmad Awad, present. Laura Keating, You have one vote. How do you cast it?
I'm Laura Keating. I was elected as an uncommitted delegate from New Jersey 17th District. I cast my vote for Muhammad Unas Ukasha. Ukasha was born in 1948 at the start of the Palestinian displacement. On December 21st, he was dragged out of his home and shot. His family found him full of bullets.
Thank you. Laura Keating, present. This concludes the roll call of votes for the state of New Jersey. State of Rhode Island, June Rose. You have one vote. How do you cast it?
June Rose, and I'm an uncommitted delegate from Rhode Island's 2nd Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Eileen Abu Odeh, who was killed by the Israeli army on October 19th, 2023. She was 3 years old. She was killed along with 30 members of her family after Israeli warplanes targeted her home. Her mother tried for 8 years to have Eileen. She was the love of her life.
Thank you. June Rose, present. This concludes the roll call of votes for the state of Rhode Island. State of Washington, Sabrine O'Day.
My name is Sabrina Auda, and I am an uncommitted delegate from Washington State 7th Congressional District. I cast my ballot today for Bisan Rami Fathi al-Bassus, who was killed by the Israeli army on October 30th, 2023. Bisan was a resident of the Shujaiya neighborhood in the city of Gaza. She was in the 5th grade. She was murdered in an Israeli bombing on her 10th birthday. I am also speaking on behalf of Yazan Kader, who will be casting his vote with the uncommitted movement for Ismail Nail Abu Shakfa, who was killed by the Israeli army on December 14th, 2023. Ismail was only 19 years old. Ismail was a barber and a big brother who wished to travel the world. Before he died, he told his friends to take care of his little sister. He was killed in an Israeli airstrike.
Thank you. Sabrine Odeh, present, and Yazan Kader, present. Sadaf Hussein.
Hi, I'm Sadaf Hussein. I'm a delegate from Washington 7th District. I am casting my vote today for Dr. Adnan Al-Bursh. Dr. Adnan was the head of the orthopedics department at Al-Shifa Hospital. While caring for his patients, he was detained by Israeli forces on December 18th, 2023 at Al-Awda Hospital in North Gaza. He died in the Ofer prison facility in the West Bank on April 19th, 2024 at the age of 50. The witnesses say that there were signs of torture on his body. His body has not been released yet.
Thank you. Sadaf Hussein, present. Tamara Erickson, you have one vote. How do you cast it?
My name is Tamara Erickson, and I'm a Jewish ceasefire delegate from Washington State. I cast my ballot today for Janan Imad Faraj, who was killed by Netanyahu's government on December 31st, 2023. Janan was a beautiful 7-year-old girl with the most radiant smile, and she was one of the top students in her class. She was the same age as my youngest daughter.
Thank you. Tamara Erickson. This concludes the roll call of votes for the state of Washington and concludes the roll call of votes for all states present here today. Based on the roll call vote, there were 0 votes cast for Kamala Harris and 30 votes cast present. Under the rules of the convention, which require that a majority of those delegates' votes eligible to be cast be for a nominated candidate, we have not selected a nominee as this delegation. As for the significance of what this means going forward, the delegation maintains its key asks to the administration and to anyone seeking the Democratic nomination. This delegation stands ready to provide its support to any candidate who is willing to make verbal commitments and meet with us to make proof positive steps toward a ceasefire through an arms embargo to Israel. This war can end rapidly if those steps are taken, and we stand ready to commit ourselves to that. The significance of our commitment is not just personal, as you've heard from many of the stories today. It is also representation. Every delegate that's cast a vote here today is an accountable representative that is elected by their neighbors to represent them and their concerns and their sentiments at this convention and vote in alignment with those sentiments. We represent over 700,000 people who voted uncommitted in the primary elections in the presidential nominating process. This delegation represents a key component of the coalition that will be critical to electing a Democrat in November to the White House. Our Democratic Party cannot win the White House in November without these 700 votes in these key states. This delegation needs to hear from our nominees and from our candidates for our nominees. There being no further business for the formal part of this meeting will stand adjourned, and I'll hand it back to Abbas.
Thank you so much, Dan. And I'd love for us to jump into questions from any members of the press or any guests who might be on the call. But before doing that, I'd love if you all could join me in a moment of silence for all of the people whose names we read aloud, who have family members, people who love them, both in Gaza and people who love them here, including our 30 uncommitted delegates who honor their lives and their memories today. We honor them in our work, in our votes, and I request a moment of silence in their memory. May their memories be a blessing. May we bring an end to the killing sooner than later. If anyone on the call has any questions, any of our guests, any members of the media have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, and we will be happy to take questions at this time, if there are any. We'll wait another 30 seconds or so. If there are any questions, feel free to ask them now.
Yeah, this is Clay Masters with Minnesota Public Radio. Just interested, between now and the August convention, just a couple weeks away, what do you hope this message brings in voting present and bringing these names forward between now and when gathering in Chicago?
So I would love to invite a member of the Minnesota delegation to help answer this question.
Yeah. Hi, Clay. Thank you for your question. We wanted to uplift these names in particular. We know in the process, as Dan mentioned, who's a rules expert and a part of the Minnesota delegation going to the DNC with us, that these names will be counted as present because the only name listed on our ballots is Kamala Harris's name. Currently, Kamala Harris has not met our demands for an immediate permanent ceasefire and an arms embargo. And we know that not only is that the only way to stop the killing that is currently happening now, there are people burning in tents because of an Israeli airstrike on another refugee camp and multiple schools that were bombed just today. But we know that that's the only way we can win in November. I talked to folks on Harris's team just last week, and I know that they're watching and I know that they're listening, but they need to be listening closer. And that means getting us a meeting, uncommitted delegates, a meeting at the DNC with the vice president and presumptive presidential nominee. And it also means that recognizing that these names are not just symbolic, they are showing that we cannot commit to this candidate without real change. People have said things like Vice President Harris is more empathetic. What does that really mean in terms of policy, right? What does it mean for the people of Gaza who are being murdered right now with our tax dollars? So between now and the DNC, we want to see real policy change. She is still the second most powerful person in the country, and that means that she does have considerable hold in what can happen in terms of policy. And we want to see that shift now. So between now and the DNC, we want to apply more pressure and we want to be able to have that meeting so she knows that there is a significant voting block, as Dan mentioned, almost 1 million voters who are being left out right now and who may not show up to the polls if our demands are not met. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asma. And thank you for the question. I would love to invite anyone else who might have a question to ask one at this time. Wonderful. Okay, well, that concludes our program today. I want to express thanks to all of our guests who joined and express my sincere gratitude to my fellow uncommitted delegates for taking a moment to honor the people who are on the receiving end of a level of destruction and killing that is not inevitable. It's actually entirely preventable. And we have an obligation in this moment to speak their names together, make sure that we're honoring their memories and that in their memories we prevent any more killing using US taxpayer funds and bombs. It's an honor to be here with you all, and I'm grateful to you for your leadership. Thank you.